Welcome to the meeting of full council this evening. I'm the Mayor of Rugby, Councillor Barbara Brown, and I'll be chairing the meeting. This meeting is being web streamed to the public through the council's YouTube channel. During the meeting, councillors, if you wish to speak, please use the push to talk button on the microphone in front of you. I'd like to welcome members of the public in the gallery this evening, and they've come to observe the meeting. I would, however, ask that you don't attempt to participate in the proceedings of the meeting. Thank you. Before we begin the formal agenda, I'll ask the Acting Chief Executive to provide details of the evacuation procedure for those present.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, all. There is no fire drill, scheduled in the building this evening. If the fire alarm does sound, then please make your way out of the building, down the main staircase, out of the main doors of the Town Hall, and congregate at the entrance to Caldecott Park. An officer of the council will give instructions on when it is safe to return to the building.
Thank you. Are there any apologies, Chief Executive?
Madam Mayor, I have apologies from Councillors Parker, Barnett, Mowlis, Simpson-Vince, Dale Keeling and John Keeling.
Thank you. On to item 2. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Council held on the 24th of September 2025 be approved and adopted. Who will second the motion? It's you, Noria.
I will second the motion.
Thank you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. On to point 3, declarations of interest. Can I remind members that when they declare interests, they must also declare the general nature of that interest. Are there any declarations under non-pecuniary interests? Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, cycle prohibition bylaws, a considerable number of those areas cited in the report fall into the Eastlands Borough Ward.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any more non-pecuniary? Thank you. Pecuniary interest, please, as defined by the Council's Code of Conduct for Councillors. Okay, notice under Section 106, Local Government Finance Act 1992, non-payment of community charge or council tax. Any declarations? Thank you. Okay, I'd like to just talk to you about one or two things under Mayor's announcements. First of all, I would like to say Happy Gujarati New Year to Councillor Mistry. Do you know, with masks, you can't see if people are smiling or not. Happy New Year. And then move on to say, if you came to see the Diwali celebrations, over 2,000 people came into town to enjoy the performances that happened over 2 stages on the 12th of October. It was quite a magnificent event, and it showed what you can do to come together to give a really positive message about the power of light over darkness. It was a really important thing to do at the moment. I'd like to thank, everyone who made it possible, including councillors in this room, Councillor Mistry and Karadia, who did support that. Rugby First was splendid during it, and the community itself, the Indian community itself, were exceptional, and just showed us what you do when you pull together. So we're thanking those sincerely. I am extremely proud to announce that the council won 3 prestigious awards at the Heart of England in Bloom ceremony earlier this week. I was there. It was fantastic. We're proud winners of 3 awards, and I have to say, this doesn't make me sound a very good person, but I took great pleasure in looking around the room and thinking, Some of the councils here have got massive resources that they've put into what they do with ecology and with their flowers and da-di-da. And we were the best, and we don't put massive resources in, but we've got really skilled people who work with it. And I think it was a real testament to them. So we were declared winners of the Environmental Award, the Best Small City Award, which is based on numbers. And then the biggest surprise, we were declared overall winners across all of those categories, which means we automatically go forward to the National Britain in Bloom. I would like to congratulate the teams involved in that, and that is the grounds team and the team, and the parks team. They just have played out of their skins with this. So can we give them a round of applause through their officer there? Thank you. The next thing I want to tell you about is the Young High Sheriff's Winners event, which took place at Ashland School. We judged 26 entries. They were all it was really diverse. To make a judgment about something creative is hard, isn't it? Because, you know, you always bring your own value judgments into it, but they were exceptional. The person that won is going to shadow the High Sheriff and also take on some duties as well that would normally be carried out by the High Sheriff. It's a really good and prestigious award for that young person. It was a lovely event. And the last thing I want to tell you about is I need to remind you that my next mayoral charity event is, it says a Halloween night, but it's the Halloween Eve night on the 30th of October. The doors open at 7 o'clock. There's a lovely buffet, a wonderful film called The Lost Boys. You can come in and lose yourself with The Lost Boys. Tickets are only £15. And you can purchase them on Eventbrite, and I'll send the link round to everybody because you will not want to miss this. And somebody told me, why don't you say to them, come and hang out with us? And if you know the Lost Boys, you'll know why they said that. It's not really very funny. Right, okay, on we go. So we will move on to questions pursuant. And are there any questions, Chief Executive?
Madam, there are... Madam Mayor, there are no questions.
Thank you. Okay, so we move on to 6. Please to receive the report of Cabinet dated the 7th of October 2025. In submitting the report of Cabinet, if members wish to raise questions or to comment, will they please indicate they wish to do so when I call them? Councillor Robinson, will you move the confirmation and adoption of item 1 of the report, titled Cycling Prohibition Bylaw?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I so move.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Robinson, would you like to introduce the report?
Or I can project. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The report before us this evening seeks council approval for the revocation of a 1947 bylaw which currently prohibits people from cycling or using similar vehicles on certain footpaths in the town centre and around. This proposal forms part of our wider commitment to promoting active travel and sustainable transport across the borough. By revoking this outdated restriction, we can open up suitable routes to cyclists, better integrate our footpaths with the wider cycle network and support the council's climate change and health objectives. The environmental implications are positive, as outlined in Appendix 4, contributing to reduced vehicle use and improved air quality. The proposal also supports equality of access, helping those without cars move more freely and safely through our town centre. Legally, this revocation follows the statutory process under the Local Government Act and will align local policy with Warwickshire Local Cycling and Walking Infrastructure Plan and the Local Transport Plan. In summary, this recommendation represents a practical step toward a cleaner, healthier and more connected borough, and I commend the report to you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any speakers? Councillor, please.
Is it hear me? Yes. While I thoroughly support the general thrust of this particular paper, I was struck by the risks in section 6, and I would propose asking that the officers actually go and explore some of those risks, particularly as they pertain to the cycleways that are now thought to be too narrow, and actually making sure that we don't have a situation where people feel free to kind of disregard the rules because there isn't a mechanism for them to appropriately lodge complaints or be dealt with.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me if I can take my mask off. I have a respiratory condition and I can't speak with that on and do this at the same time. Right. To answer Councillor Thompson's point initially, there are quite a number of cyclists and people with disabilities who really do welcome this report. We are using it without the revocation because it's the only way you can get around certain parts of this town, and I particularly would mention Church Street, which is awful with all those bollards, that you do use areas like Church Walk, like Castle Walk, like Park Walk if you're down the other side of Lancaster Road. So this will give us the freedom to do what's required. Like the report says, we do have things called public space protection orders. And if we find that there is a problem with misuse, antisocial behaviour, we can put a public space protection order on that, and we can basically control that for a 3-year period. So that's pretty well covered. The County Council's also got powers with TROs, which is traffic regulation orders, not as coverall as a traffic regulation order, but pretty effective, to say the least. Now, I believe and which a lot of people certainly involved with one of my other interests in terms of transition town, because this is a town that is in transition. We can't hold back on the old ways of doing things. We've got to find new ways of getting rugby and rugby people back into our town centre, to bring our town centre back to life. Others made promises before, but it didn't happen. Now it is happening. So I fully support this report. I want to see us also support the consultation on the TROs on the pedestrianised areas, or alleged pedestrian areas, which is currently out of consultation. We can build a fantastic network of accessible sites and locations throughout Rugby Town and Rugby Town Centre. So let's get to it. Let's not drag our feet. Let's not let the petrol heads rule the day. Let's make sure we get a town centre that's fit for all the people in Rugby.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Rourke, please. And then
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Gillies.
Can I just say I really bow to your knowledge, Councillor Sanderson. It's amazing the amount of knowledge you have around the bylaws, and I know you've taken a great deal of interest in this, and when it came to Cabinet, you asked for me to raise a couple of issues which I have done, and the portfolio holder is aware of them. But thank you for scrutinising it and making sure we're going in the right direction, because you are definitely the go-to authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I certainly do approve of this report. Regarding Councillor Sanderson's comments, it does mean now that I might have to get rid of my classic car collection. But something I've noticed very recently is the illegal use and dangerous use of electric scooters. And this is something that's got to be outlawed. I was very, very concerned just a couple of days ago where I saw a young woman with her child on an electric scooter riding back along the main road in Woolston, and I was followed behind me by 2 police cars, and neither of them stopped. I thought that was incredibly poor, because she should have been warned about the illegal use of it. But as regarding these footpaths, I do hope there will be a signed restriction on the use of these vehicles on a cycleway. That's my comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any other speakers? Please, Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond to Councillor Gillias there, that none of these revocation of bylaws changes the highway code in any shape or form. So the electric scooters are already illegal. It is a police matter. This isn't actually going to change that. It doesn't give any free fall for anything. It doesn't undermine anything that's already in law and in the highway code and in any other traffic regulation orders that sit in place. It's just removing these old bylaws. So unfortunately, it's not a mechanism to prevent electric scooters on our streets. But we don't actually have any mechanisms to prevent them if the police don't enforce the laws that are already there. So unfortunately, it won't change what we're seeing in terms of electric scooters. Actually, what we, regardless of what we do with any traffic regulation orders with Warwickshire County Council, or what we do with any bylaws or revocation thereof, because they're already illegal. So I appreciate your concern. I do share your concerns about electric scooters, but I'm not sure that there's actually anything this chamber can do to prevent that.
Thank you. Do we have any others? Councillor, you've got a right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, thank you everybody for your contributions, and it's given me some food for thought to take away, and I'll come to that at the end. So, Councillor Thompson, your mention of the risks and the narrow footpaths where cycling won't be appropriate, as other colleagues have pointed to, there is other legislation and processes in place that are there as a protection. But I do hear the concern, and again, thanks to Councillor Sanderson for your being the font of all knowledge on these matters, and for your passion and enthusiasm to take this forward as well and champion this. And so, coming to those concerns, come back to Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gillias, I do wonder when we. So the other part of my portfolio, of course, is digital and communications. And I do think that there's maybe something that we need to do around the communication of this, and whether we look to do something like how to cycle safely around Rugby, or we do some form of communications that backs this up, that does kind of make clear to people, because what you wouldn't want people just assuming is because they can cycle on some of these footpaths now, they can now cycle on them all. So it's that reminder. So I think there's something about the communications. I think there's also something to take away around looking at how these changes have been managed well in other councils, and if there's any learning that we can borrow in terms of that communications or signage and things like that. So I am thinking these things off the top of my head. Obviously, I need to talk to the officers about that, but these would seem like sensible mitigations and things that are within our gift to do, accepting there's an awful lot that isn't. And if the risks and concerns materialise, we'll use the other mechanisms open to us. So I hope that that sounds like a sensible approach. And that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And we move on to Councillor Robinson. Will you move the confirmation and adoption of item 2 of the report titled Town-Centred Regeneration Resource?
I so move.
Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second that, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so this report seeks council approval for the creation of a 2-year fixed-term project officer post within the major projects and regeneration team. The role at 0.6 full-time equivalent will provide much-needed capacity support to deliver our major regeneration initiatives and ensure effective project management and stakeholder engagement. The post will be funded from the Town Centre Strategy Reserve, as detailed in section 4 of the report. Without this additional resource, there is a real risk that the project timelines could slip due to competing priorities within the existing team. While the role itself has no direct environmental impact, it will contribute to projects that improve our natural environment, our local economy, and transport links. You know, it's all part, and I did forget to say under the last item, you know, all these little component parts are part of that bigger picture. So the proposal aligns directly with priorities set out in our corporate strategy and will help us move forward with the delivery of our town centre regeneration plans in a timely and effective manner. So I commend the report to you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any speakers? Councillor Roodhouse.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And can I start by placing on record my deep and personal thanks to people tonight for what they're doing. You can probably hear it from my voice, but that's to do with the chemicals which come through the system. That it gets a bit more huskier, they tell me, as we go through that. But I do really appreciate that, and I want to place that on record as we go through that. And certainly from Sue's side, my wife's side, as you can imagine, she didn't really want me to come here tonight. But once she heard what Claire and the others had done behind the scenes, she was much more comforted by that on there. So I do need to start by that. Coming to this particular project and going through it now, this is all about capacity within the projects that are within there. And quite clearly, all those projects are starting to speed up now, and they can't be delivered by the team that's in there. And I think this is the right move to do to actually get that speed, because we do need to accelerate the work within those projects to start getting those delivered. And this is a good move in relation to that. So I welcome the report and going through. And now what I really will welcome going forward from this is once that person's in, it's actually seeing an acceleration of those projects actually going through and actually turning into faster delivery, because that's what we now need to do. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any other speakers, please? Councillor Moran.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just really very, very quickly, just to echo what Councillor Roodhouse said, to place on record my thanks for his chairing of the Town Centre Working Group, which has helped to put these projects on the forefront. And as Councillor Roodhouse says, if we want the good stuff to come, we need the materials and the resource to help. So, yeah, I endorse this report. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, actually, I just wanted to also say thank you ever so much to everybody for wearing masks in Chamber today. I really also appreciate it, and on behalf of the Liberal Democrat Group, I want to say thank you very much for helping protect Jerry. We do appreciate that. What I wanted to say was I also wanted to place my thanks on record to the team that is working so hard on the town centre regeneration work. There is so many elements that are going through at the moment. I mean, we looked at the bylaws today, but there's been a lot of things. The high street auctions, it isn't just about putting that process in place. They've actually gone and spoken to every single landowner. They've assessed the units. They've gone out and worked on that extensively. They've put a design code in place for shop fronts, but they've administered grants. They've done a lot of work on that as well. There's whole new planters and benches happening. They've gone out and assessed all the locations, and there's just so many small elements that they're working on continuously. And I want to really thank the officers for the amount of work that they're putting in. And I really welcome this because actually we've got some incredibly highly skilled officers who are actually spending time organising meetings and doing things which really doesn't make use of their excellent professional knowledge. And this role will actually take some of that workload off them so that they can use it on the actual planning things that they're highly qualified in. So I recommend it on a number of levels, first of all, because actually they're doing a really good job. And like Councillor Roodhouse said, I would like to see everything accelerate. We all have an appetite to see the town centre regenerated of whatever political stripe we are. But also because actually we should be using people in the roles that they're skilled for. And when they're working at such a pitch, it's good to move that on. So I do recommend the report to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any more speakers? Councillor Robinson, would you like to reply?
Just to say, yeah, thank you. And I think Councillor Mackenzie, you make a very good point, and my other colleagues, about how this is part of that bigger picture again. And I'm very mindful that we are bringing forward papers that might seem a bit to the outside looking in, what's this about? Because it's all coming in through now quite piecemeal and at pace. And so, again, with my other hat on, I think we do need to think about the communication around all of this, because it is starting to come thick and fast. So I just think, my reflection tonight is that we just need to make sure that people understand that these things are all joined up. It's not a scattergun, that there is a strategy and a cohesive plan. And this person will help us to coordinate that. So, yeah, thank you for your support.
Thank you. So we're moving on now to the Robinson hat trick. So, Councillor Robinson, would you like to introduce the next item?
I so move.
Do we have a seconder?
Second, remain, reserve my right to speak.
Thank you, Councillor O'Rourke. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. Yes, I love that. It's a hat trick. It is a hat trick tonight. Yeah, so thank you, Madam Mayor. So this report seeks council approval for the introduction of the Rugby Borough Council Artificial Intelligence and Automation Pilot Project, supported by a dedicated project fund. So the aim is to improve customer services, reduce costs, modernise how we deliver our services through the responsible use of AI and automation. Now, this is now the third time that I've come to present a paper to council on AI in my accounting. The first one was a policy. The one last time was around putting the team in place. And what this project funding and what this framework enables us to do is to equip that team with what it needs to function. So the paper outlines the decision-making process, it outlines where the AI board fits in, how we will look at those ethical considerations and apply all those filters before decisions are made. It highlights cost savings, and I did check with in case this is a question, I did check with the officer that we're not doing any double counting, because we identified cost savings in the last paper. That these are not double counting, these are additional cost savings. So, yeah, this is the third piece of the jigsaw, and the officer has been presenting this to scrutiny. So, there may be more questions, but I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation as we all learn together how we can use AI to sort of help transform. It's not the only answer, but help transform our processes so that they run smoother and we all receive, get the benefits of improved efficiency of the council and then improved efficiency impacts on our customer service. So, yeah, I commend the paper to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I just really wanted to touch on the point just very generally. I know in talking to colleagues both inside and outside the chamber, there's always a slight natural reticence or anxiety and awareness regarding AI. And I think it's really important just to reiterate on this public forum that the process with the council moving towards AI integration is just beginning. We do have those processes in terms of ethics boards and scrutiny, and that's really, really important. And they should be seen as live systems for everyone to feel part of the AI transition, and that it works for us as best it can, consistent with our ethics along the way. That's all.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say anything that improves the customer journey is for me really important. It's been something that I've been championing since I've been in Chamber. We asked for a customer charter, which we now have. What we have been looking at and starting to implement is actually having a case management system so queries don't get lost within the council, which is what historically has been happening. So all of these things that actually form part of a jigsaw and building blocks to improve customer service are incredibly important. One of the things that, and actually getting answers and not getting lost in the system and actually closing things out so that if things have to go to more than one department, it actually gets closed out for the resident and it doesn't just disappear into somebody's inbox. And I include my own inbox in that, to be honest, because it can get a bit lost. So all of these things that are improving that is of great benefit. But also what I wanted to highlight in this, which I think is actually really good, is that these funds are going to allow some small pilot projects, which will allow us to actually say, does this element actually work, and try it. And if it doesn't work, just stop at that point, having committed only a very small amount of money, rather than implementing a whole thing and finding that actually it's not very good. So the purpose behind this fund is to actually just keep trying little pieces of the jigsaw and see if they actually work. And within weeks, certainly months, decide whether they're actually working or not working. And if they're not working, stopping and trying something else. So there isn't a commitment to spending a lot of money, but it's actually having a look at lots of different areas and seeing if they're actually plausible, workable, and work with the staff and actually try and achieve our end. So I'm pleased because I think it's really important to try things and potentially fail at them, but fail quickly so that you don't commit a lot of money to it. So for me, this is absolutely the right approach. If you're going to try something, do it in small scale first. And so I would recommend the report to the Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any more speakers? Councillor Robinson, you have a right to reply on this one as well.
After all that, all I really want to say is thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you. I'd like to point out that this is not all my fault. Some of it may be, but some of it is due to a dodgy switch. Never mind. Okay, so moving on then, please. Councillor Morin, will you move the confirmation and adoption of item 4 of the report titled Conferment of Honour of Freedom of the Borough?
I will, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I second this and reserve my right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Councillor Moran.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'll keep this very short and sweet. It says what it is on the tin, that how much of a clear honour it is for rugby to be associated with the sport, and that for last month for the English rugby team to have done so well. I commend officers from working quite so quickly to bringing this forward to the very next month's council. And it's brilliant. It emphasises both the historic relationship that we have with the sport. It puts the town on the map. But far more importantly, it is the underlying message that you've got a fantastically successful women's sporting team. And that, you know, as a council and our corporate strategy, we're trying to emphasise the need for health and well-being, but also fairness and getting sport across the community for in non-traditional areas is really, really important. And there's nothing that can do that more effectively than a globally renowned and successful team. that ultimately we can pay homage to. So it's a great honour for me to propose it, and I'll leave it for others to say any more. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any speakers? Please, Councillor O'Rourke. I've known you for years. Sorry.
Oh. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I start and indulge me a little bit? I'd like to say a huge congratulations to Councillor Roodhouse for obtaining the Freeman status from the County Council. A very well deserved. Well done. So, briefly, our Red Roses came out and they beat Canada 33-13 at Twickenham, and we have won the Women's World Cup, and it's so exciting. So it's almost like straight out of a sort of a fairy story. The victories are unbelievable. Over 82,000 people went to watch that match. 82,000. Can you imagine 20 years ago? I mean, it just wouldn't have happened. So I think it's absolutely amazing what they're doing. For me, what really strikes me about everything with this team in particular is not only have they won 33 consecutive games, which is like amazing in itself, it's their determination and resilience and strength and their courage. It's just incredible. And the thing for me, it's the big hope for future generations. And of course, as a portfolio holder that has sort of sports within her portfolio, it is really, really important, I think, to have these people, that team that, you know, locals can look up to, that where we are encouraging more women into sports, which to me is really the really big legacy here. And I know there is a national campaign encouraging more girls into the sport, and I think we've got an absolutely brilliant opportunity with this to actually do our bit. Obviously, arrangements have got to be made for the day, but I do hope, we are in talks with Rugby School, and I do hope that there will be opportunities for us to use that as a way of promoting what's really important to us in our local priorities, particularly around well-being, involving our communities and celebrating our successes. So well done to the Red Roses.
Yes, indeed. Well done. Thank you. Do we have any more speakers? Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, Chamber, it's me again. Well done, Red Roses. What incredible play. I was absolutely transfixed by the games. I mean, the flowing rugby, the way they play through the phases, pass the ball, move it around the pitch, and then score a try. Absolutely impressive rugby on any scale of men or women's. I just think it was frankly better than the men's game. Just brilliant. Brilliant play. Well done. We are the home of rugby. This is where rugby started. We are all proud of the fact that this is the home of rugby. So absolutely, I do hope that they will accept the honour of Freedom of the Borough, because they absolutely deserve it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've made some comments on the press release that's gone out, because this was won by teamwork. No two ways about it. I mean, I watched the games, especially the ones in Ashton Gate, which is the Bristol City ground, by the way, for those who don't know. And they were excellent matches. They were an exemplar to all that play the game. What I would like to see is not just the freedom of the borough, because I can't see them driving their sheep much down Sheep Street. But what we can do when we're looking at our sporting strategy in terms of games like, and don't forget the Lionesses didn't do that bad either. So what we're doing in terms of the legacy for things like rugby, football, hockey, how we make the most a multiple use of the pitches that we've got. And I'll just park that one over to Councillor O'Rourke, because I'm sure she'll have lots of ideas about it.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any more speakers? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's dangerous to freestyle, isn't it? But I'm going to do it anyway. Something that strikes me when we talk about rugby and the name of rugby, I can feel for some people that doesn't feel very inclusive because they don't identify with the game of rugby, and it can get a bit boring sometimes. I'm just going to be open and honest and say that that's what I sometimes hear from residents. And I would really like to see us sort of extend our horizons in terms of what when we're thinking about this and when we're celebrating this. Because rugby is more than a game. It's more than a game on the pitch. And you mentioned teamwork. I've just Googled, because I had to remind myself, of the core values and principles of rugby. It teaches teamwork, respect, enjoyment, discipline, sportsmanship. And there's the code of conduct that sits around that. So up and down the country, all the kids that get involved with rugby are being taught these really important values. And when they're not playing rugby, they're in the classroom and they're in other parts of their lives. And so I think sport has a much wider impact on society than actually just the people that do the sport or that support the sport, because of the values that it instills. And there's something really there for me about rugby. So, I hope that when we're celebrating this, we will think about these wider benefits of the game, the wider benefits of participation in sports, what it teaches us, and how it's good for society, even if you're not directly involved and engaged. And I hope that we will bring that to our conversation about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. If there are no other speakers, Councillor Moran, would you like the right to reply?
No, everything's been covered. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now submit for confirmation and adoption of the whole report. In moving for confirmation and adoption of the whole report, this can take place en bloc, or upon any member request, a vote can be taken separately in respect of each report. Does any member wish for a vote to be taken in respect of each individual report? So, we're going to move for confirmation and adoption. I now submit for confirmation and adoption the whole of the report. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Those against? And any abstentions? The motion's carried. Thank you. Moving on to receive the report of Scrutiny Committee dated the 16th of September 2025. In submitting the report of Scrutiny Committee, same as always, if members wish to raise questions or to comment, please indicate when I call the item. Councillor Timms, will you move the confirmation and adoption of item 1, Overview and Scrutiny Annual Report?
Yes, I so move.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder?
I second.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'm really pleased to be moving this report, because last year for scrutiny was really about rebuilding and refocusing the committee so that it really focused on pre-decision making of plans and of policies. Firstly, we had to align the work of the committee to be able to do that with the calendar, because it very much felt that we were behind the curve rather than in front of it. And the year has certainly been about making sure that we were in front of that curve when it came to performance and financial information being scrutinised properly by the committee. We've had some really constructive approach to this renewal, if you like, of scrutiny, and we've developed key lines of inquiry, and the debate has certainly improved throughout the year and continues to improve within scrutiny. that constructive feedback has fed through into Cabinet decisions and Council decisions. So that really starts to prove the worth of scrutiny and what it can add to the debate within this Council. The committee plans for the future to maintain a flexible work programme, so we're responsive to emerging issues such as the local plan and such as local government reform, which is obviously one of the big upcoming topics for this Council. One of the other areas we will obviously continue to scrutinise is performance and finance, but we will keep involvement of all councillors, all officers, our residents, and really make sure we go out and touch those topics that matter the most to them. So I want to say thank you to the committee. I want to say thank you to the officers for the excellent support that we've had, and also all councillors. Look forward to your involvement in making sure that we keep an eye on all those important decisions together. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Councillor Timms. Do we have speakers? Okay, thank you. Councillor Timms, if there are no... Oh, I'm so sorry, that's twice I've done it to you, Councillor Mackenzie.
That's right, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to place on record my thanks to the Scrutiny Committee. Scrutiny is an incredibly important part of democracy, and I welcome the work that they're doing, and I just wanted to publicly place on record my thanks.
Thank you. If there are no more speakers, I now submit for confirmation and adoption the whole of the report. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Those against, please show. Any abstentions? The motion's carried. And on to item 7, notice of motion pursuant to Standing Order 11. In accordance with Council standing orders, there are no motions on notice to be considered this evening, which takes swiftly through to 8. Motion to exclude the public under section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972. So we're considering to pass the following resolution. Under section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, the public be excluded from the meeting for the following items on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of information defined in paragraphs 2 and 3 of Schedule 12A of the Act. I so move. Who will second the motion?
Yes, I will second the motion.
Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? The motion's carried, and that concludes the public part of the meeting.